Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. We are the Legit Agents. Typically, it's myself and my business partner, Eli. He's gonna be doing some videos separately for himself as well, but we wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about a success story, or like just how we created success, or specifically how I created success for myself. So full disclosure, I made just over $240,000 my first year of real estate, and I wanna dive into how I did that. And believe it or not, it's more fundamentally sound than you might think, because on the surface, it doesn't sound very fundamental or very traditional. However, it is more traditional than you might think, but I feel like there's just a lot of dishonesty or discouragement behind how we approach real estate and what actually works. So we're gonna dive into that in this video and give you guys the bare bones of what I did to reach that 240K in the first 12 months. All right, guys, diving into it. My name is Will Grimes. I am a co-owner of Legit Agents, and I also co-own a real estate company with my business partner, Eli Schmidt, that we run through eXp Realty, called the Mile High Property Brothers. And there we've created a business that does over 200 million in volume between ourselves and our network. And we've also got a specific YouTube channel called Living in Denver that makes over $2 million a year in GCI. That's been incredible. But before we get to all of that stuff, in other videos, I want to talk to you guys about some things simplistically that I did in the first year of my real estate career and how I made that 240K that I've been talking to you guys about. So let's dive into it. First thing, and this is super important. Prior to real estate, between the Marine Corps and doing some mercenary work and doing police work, I then ventured into the fitness community where I helped a buddy build a brick and mortar franchise. He had just had it licensed to be franchised. We went from 2 to 14 stores in 2 years, and I felt like I had a decent concept of entrepreneurship and what it would take to really do something on my own, because prior to that, being in police organizations and military organizations, you have some wiggle room as far as being creative or improvising, adapting, and overcoming, but you're still kind of within an organization. It's not yours. And working for my buddy, even though I was number 2 in that company, I had some creativity. It wasn't quite mine, but I felt like I had some entrepreneurial tendencies. I was making decent money at that fitness company. And by decent money, I mean about 95K a year. So back then, like it was good money. But I was also not very good with money, right? So I had to get rid of a lot of cars. I had to get my finances in line by literally getting rid of everything. I slept in my buddy's mom's old Y2K pantry. And while I was there, I was also doing Uber and Lyft at night just to make a buck. And if you guys go to Will_Grimes, we're popping that up on the screen right now. If you guys go there and scroll all the way back to the beginning of my Instagram, you'll literally see me out on Friday nights, Thursday nights, doing Lyft, just making a buck. And I want to express to you guys that you don't have to be romantic how you make your money. Do whatever you have to do in order to do what you want to do. Makes sense, right? But I also want you guys to understand that even early on then, I had a whatever it takes mentality. I was not looking for handouts. I was not looking for people to do things for me. I had a whatever it takes mentality. I'm gonna commit 12 months to this no matter what. I'm gonna do everything I can, however I can, when I can, with all I can, and I'm gonna really see what I can make out of this thing. And I feel like early on, new realtors, they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Or man, their just mind isn't quite into it, or they don't quite believe in themselves. And all those things are romantic nowadays when it comes to believing in yourself and having that motivation. I wasn't even in the mindset of whether I believed in myself or not. What I knew is, hey, I've got some tasks at hand that need to get done. I've got some learning that has to get done. And no matter what, I got to apply myself 100% and then let the chips fall where they may, right? So that's where my mindset was at. So when I was doing Uber and Lyft at night to make a buck, I was also recording it. And the reason why is for this moment right here. Now that we've got a team that produces several $100 million a year, now that we've got a YouTube channel that's well known, we've been on the Drew Barrymore show, we've been on CBS out here in Colorado, we've done some really cool stuff. I don't want to talk about what it took once I get to this moment. I wanted to show what it took back in that day to give you guys permission to have your start. But what I'm getting at with doing Uber and Lyft and sleeping in a pantry was I had to minimize bills. I couldn't afford my lifestyle with then starting something over and being commission only and not really knowing when my first deal was going to come. I also didn't want to sell desperate, right? I wanted to be informative and be a value add to clients and make sure that the right decisions were being made. And I didn't have a motivator of needing to pay a bill, allowing that to maybe nudge a client in a certain direction, right? I wanted to just be free and clear and to focus and just have great value for clients. So if you're not making money, well, you can always save money. So I got rid of my apartment, I got rid of cars, and I slept in my buddy's mom's old Y2K pantry. While I was doing that, I was doing Uber and Lyft at night to just make a buck. I would wake up, I would get my mind right by getting to the gym, getting a workout in, and then I would study all day. I would eat clean. I would get a gallon of water a day. And then in the evening and in the nighttime, when I was done studying for the day, I would go out at night and I would do Uber and Lyft. This might sound redundant and it might sound like, hey, it just has nothing to do with real estate. Will, you're talking to me about mindset. You're talking to me about health and fitness. I'm telling you right now, if you don't create a schedule for yourself, if you don't create a routine for yourself, if you don't start taking initiative in putting your studying or putting your calls or putting your social media or putting video content down into your calendar and being a professional about what you're doing and taking the initiative to put it there and then making sure it's getting done, it won't get done. You're gonna find distractions, right? So early on, even before I was licensed, I was committing to a calendar. I was committing to taking care of my body. I was committing to take care of my mind because I knew it was gonna take everything I had in order to make this successful as best as possible, even now, right? So moving forward, that was my regime. I had a whatever it takes mentality. Now, once I got into it and I'm now licensed, I went into a brokerage that was very heavy with like leads, Zillow leads. And they were doing call parties in the morning and call parties in the evening. And like, I don't know if you guys have gone down like the lead rabbit hole, but that is it's interesting, right? Like those are hard and it's a lot of freaking calls and no one knows who you are and whatever it may be. And I had a buddy, and this is probably the most important piece that I had when I started turning things around. I had to make real estate fit me. I could not then fit real estate, right? Like if I'm gonna wear a tie and a suit and whatever it may be and be uncomfortable with what I'm wearing and in an attempt to look like everyone else, get in line and take a number, and then maybe in 10 years you're gonna make some money. But I had a lot of great skill sets. I had a lot of folks that I knew, right, that were what we would call outbound or in your sphere of influence of people that I knew that trusted me, and I just wasn't being myself. Now, understand that when you're new at something, like you don't necessarily know how to be yourself. You're learning, so people telling you to wear something or call something or do something, you're gonna do it, and you might overlook where you really have significance and power, right? So I was going out doing some showings, and a good buddy of mine, I was helping him buy a house, and he's like, it was a Saturday, and he's like, hey man, this house just popped up and I'd love to see it. I said, great, let me just take the kiddos home and I'll jump right over and I'll meet you at the house. We'd already done a buyer presentation. We'd already been actively looking for homes. So I get there and he says, man, it's about time. And I was like, what? Dude, I'm not late. What are you talking about? And he goes, no man, you took that suit off. He goes, I'm your friend. You don't gotta be all that for me, man. I freaking trust you. I appreciate what you do. And I trust you. I don't need all that. And when he said that, it clicked, right? Like, so I'm not saying don't wear suits, but what I am saying is like, you've gotta be comfortable with who you are. My sphere of influence, my outbound, people that knew me, they knew me from law enforcement. They knew me from running a gym company where I was nicely dressed with fitted jeans and, you know, a company t-shirt for the company that I represented. Or I came from law enforcement where you just didn't see me in a suit. And me being 240 pounds and showing up at your house for a buyer presentation or a listing presentation in a suit, people literally thought I was like a CIA agent and I was just missing the earpiece. And it was almost intimidating because I was getting really good at my sphere and my outbound. I'm gonna explain that on the next point. But what I'm getting at was people knew me and they knew they had a certain level of trust in me, but they also had an impression of me and what I wore, what I looked like, how comfortable I was with them, and they loved that, which made them comfortable enough to speak to me about helping the buyer sell. So then when I show up at their house, or I show up to meet them, and I'm in this like suit, and it's like, oh, what's the catch? Oh, here comes the salesman. The salesman's coming out. Versus continuing that relationship. Makes sense? So whether you're wearing a suit, I've got friends that wear suits in real estate and they are 100,000% comfortable in their suits and they own it and they enjoy it, and that's okay, that's them. And I feel like everything they've done prior to real estate was always still indicative of like some type of formal dress, and they rock that and they do well with it. So if that's you, let it be you. If it's not you, don't feel like it has to be you in order for someone to take you serious. If anything, people are gonna not take you serious because they think there's something else now that you're trying to pitch them, because everything and how they know you and the atmospherics about you has changed. So understand that brand is everything. Everything matters all the time when it comes to you because brand is you. So be cognizant of that. And where this hit traction for me is the next point that I'm gonna get at. It was my outbound. It wasn't necessarily everyone I knew. So the friend Travis that was buying a house for me, he was one of them that was early on, but guys, believe it or not, I didn't sell a ton of houses from my close friends and family when I first got in. Those started coming maybe about 6 months into the game, minus Travis. But where all the other deals were coming from, and full disclosure, I did 34 deals my first year. Where the majority of those were coming from was what I would call my outbound. People that knew me and saw me consistently, but didn't necessarily know what I did for a living. And I found a way to just have more intentional conversations. So when I was at the gym, right? Like I see people 4 or 5 times a week on a regular at the gym. So when people would say good morning or ask me how my day was, I was telling them how my day was. I wasn't telling them that, oh, hey man, I'm just trying to get big like you. Hey, living the dream. Like I wasn't saying those things. I was talking about my day. I was talking about the day prior. And obviously it's got something to do with real estate. And like, as they would hear some things, believe it or not, in the sauna, by the bench presses or whatever, they'd start having some questions and they'd ask me to come, hey man, I'd love for you to come by when there's some time. Now, that didn't always happen on the first conversation, but what was so great is even if they kind of planted a seed with me, like, hey man, we're looking at maybe buying, you know, like early next year or late this year, like, oh, hey, great, man. Well, hey, if you have any questions, let me know. Like, and I would get them on my social media. And I'll get to that in a second. But what's great about seeing people in what I would call your outbound, the gym, your kiddo's school, the coffee shop, the book club that you go to, the women's night or mastermind that you go to, is you don't have to harp on them. You see them 4 or 5 times a week. So even if they plant a seed with you or you kind of plant a seed with them, it doesn't have to get redundant. You don't have to hard sell them because you're not worried about not seeing them again. It's almost just more of continuing that relationship. Less is more in that sense, right? But because I see them consistently, it allows for the atmosphere to be less is more because of that variable, right? Now, what was important there though, is I was getting people on my social media. So when they would say, hey, we're looking at maybe selling or buying, that was an example. Or if I just started having conversations with them almost every day or once every other week, but I'd see them almost every day, I would find some time and opportunity to go, hey man, what's your Instagram? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Like, hey, I know you got some kids. After talking to you for a while, I got some kids. Like, I'd love to follow you and see what you're up to. Nobody says no to another follow from someone that they already know, like, and trust through what I would call your outbound, places that you're on a regular basis that people know you and like you and seem to trust you. And you're not pitching them anything, you're just asking to follow them. The reason why that's important, or for another example, my daughter's school, I can't remember how many deals we did, but we did a handful of deals for my daughter's school from the parents there. I see those parents every day when I was picking up my daughter, right? So when we're out there shooting the crap, waiting for kiddos to come out, and like I see my kiddo come out with your kiddo and I'm saying hi, like, hey, what's your Facebook? Hey, we love to follow you. We should get together sometime. What's your Instagram? We should get together sometime. You know, we can get the kids together. Hey, that'd be a lot of fun. Hey, are you coming to field day? Yeah, I'm bringing the cotton candy machine. What are you bringing? Oh, I'm doing a water balloon thing, right? Like, cool. Hey, I'll see you at the field day. So I was getting involved in my daughter's school. I was finding opportunities to still see parents, but I was also getting them on my social media, just like someone from the gym or someone from the coffee shop or someone from a regular place I was. Here's why. I was putting out regular content on my Instagram, on my Facebook about real estate. Educational value adds. Top 3 things you should be thinking about when it comes to inspections. What it's like to be a buyer right now. After action reports of like just what the week was looking like with clients. What I was learning along the way. And literally just documenting everything I was doing. Wasn't trying to be a bigger deal, but wasn't trying to act like I couldn't take myself serious. I was in pursuit of being a professional at this craft. They would see my content on my social media. This means that when I see them at the school, when I see them at the gym, I don't have to always find a reason in our little good morning conversations or good afternoon conversations to pitch some real estate stuff to them. They could just see the real estate on my social media. And when they would like it, I would go to their page and I would like their stuff back. And when they would comment, I would comment back. And I would send DMs. I'd find opportunities to get in person, right? Like that leads me to my next point for you guys. So not only people that you know in person should you be getting on your social media so they can absorb your content, people that are on your social media that you haven't necessarily met in person, but they're absorbing and liking your content, send them a DM. Thank them for the support. Ask them how their day is. Go to their Facebook and Instagram, see what's new in their life and say, oh, hey, I saw you got a new dog. What's his name? Congratulations, right? And then at some point, after messaging back and forth for here and there, like when you find the opportunities, right, invite them to coffee. Or hey, you know that's a mom from the soccer league. Like, hey, next time we're at soccer this Saturday, I'd love to just come up and say hi to you. What you're doing is you're taking people from social media and you're meeting them in real life. And you're taking from people in real life and you're getting them to their social media so they can absorb the same content. You're developing an infrastructure, right? You're developing your own utopia of real relationships, guys. And you don't have to harp anybody about your real estate because you're putting the regular content out on your social media. So huge points there, right? Like while we were doing that, we were also growing a real estate team. And that team ended up hitting top 1% and then top 0.5% in the world for production for Berkshire Hathaway back when we were with Berkshire prior to EXP. The most important piece that I'm giving you right now is what I just said. Our team hitting top 1% and then top 0.5% in the world. Guys, we never did leads. But what we did do is we taught everybody a skill set and a process that we had adopted or created and implemented into being like that celebrity of your area, that subject matter expert of that area. Like we taught these skill sets to our agents and our agents went out and then executed in their areas and they had the same level of success that I was having. What does that mean? That means that this process is duplicatable. That means that I'm not special. That means that I'm not Mr. Einstein where like, yeah, well, you can do it and you did it, but like, it's because you're you. We've been teaching hundreds and hundreds of agents this basic process, and even our advanced agents that do a lot of Zillow leads or a lot of events, hey, great. We still reverse engineer that all the way back to basic fundamentals, because even if you're not this style of developing relationships through your social media and doing the grunt work of sending out the DMs and commenting back to people and meeting them in real person and people in real life, when you're at your kid's soccer practice, when you're at the school, when you're at the gym, yes, you have to be diligent. Yes, you have to be present and keep your head up and smile at people and say hello and ask them how their day was and ask them what their Instagram is and follow them and throw them a DM a couple days later. Yes, you actually have to give a crap. Yes, you actually have to get involved with relationships. There is some elbow grease here, right? But the bottom line is, even if you're successful doing other things, you don't want to walk right over your sphere of influence and you're outbound where people already know, like, and trust you. They just maybe don't know you do real estate, or they might think you're so busy you can't help them. When you can, there's so much traction there. There's so much relationship there that you're just leaving on the table because you're looking for a quick fix if you're new, or because you found a different way to be successful, but your overhead is super high. We'll get to that on a different video. But the bottom line, guys, is the number one thing I'm giving you right now is that we've duplicated this process, these ideologies, to other agents, and the agents that go out and do the work, they're doing 12 to 18 to 22 deals within their first year, just by interacting with people that already know, like, and trust them. You have a lot more there within reach from in-person, outbound, sphere of influence, and social media friends than you think. You just have to be super intentional with your conversations and your call to actions and involving yourself in other people's life, right? But this also leads me to my final point, going pro. Are you wanting to go pro in this, right? Like, this is something that we talk about with professional sports, and there's a draft, right? Like, well, there's not a draft in real estate. You pass your real estate exam, right? Like, and you get accepted and you can be a realtor now, like, cool. And you could, hey, you're a realtor. There's no standard of proficiency. There's no nothing. You pay your dues every year, you're a realtor. But it really comes down to your mindset, your level of proficiency, your level of ambition, and hey, I want to be a professional at this. I want to make this entrepreneur side of me a career. Well, you've got to grow your capacity for more. And where you start is, if you can't even start putting entry-level work in with being resourceful with what's right in front of you community-wise, if you can't even do that, but you're too busy, too quick, trying to find the quick sell, trying to find the quick phone call, it's not gonna be enough, and you won't have enough capacity and experience within relationships to actually handle a workload of clients when you do have them. Because when you do have several clients or several hundred clients, there's a lot of follow-up, there's a lot of maintaining relationship, there's a lot of resources and platforms you're gonna need to maintain those. And if you can't have them at an entry level, you're not gonna have that at your intermediate or your professional level. So really this comes down to your intentions, where you at with your mindset, and do you really wanna go pro in this, or hey, are we just trying to find some side money? But if you are really looking at going pro, go right back to the beginning of this video, get your mind right, get your body right, start studying, create your Google Calendar, right? Start putting in self-initiating tasks, put yourself at the gym the same time every single day for a duration of time so you can meet those people. And then if you wanna go from doing that in the morning to doing it in the late afternoon to meet a different group of people that go at 4 or 4:30, do that as well, but be consistent and do it for a duration of time and meet those people. Get them on your social, and then folks on your social, get them in real life, get them in person. But I promise you, if you guys are applying this and you really do it well, and then you're increasing your database, everybody you're meeting, everybody you start doing deals with, or that are maybes that are, hey, they're maybe a couple months out, putting that into your CRM, following up with people, being professional about it. I promise you, if you're doing this, you've got the potential to do maybe more than 34 deals in your first year, right? Who knows? But what you will know is, if you did all you could with what you had and the level of ambition you had and your resources, and at the end of the day, you can say, hey, I put everything I could into this first year, I promise you it's gonna turn out pretty successful, and you're gonna know whether this is for you or not, right? And that's the biggest point, is after your first year, it's gotta be productive. Don't be the person that's been in real estate for 20 years and they think they have 20 years of experience, and they don't. They've got 1 year of experience that they've done 20 times, and they've been just getting by every single year. Like, that's not what you're in it for. That's not why you should be here. If you apply yourself this hard your first year and continue to grow, you will know if you've got a skill set for this, the capacity for it, and the want for it, or you don't, and you move on and you do something else. But knowing it's for you, knowing the potential you have, knowing your skill set, getting some traction, getting some sales going will boost your confidence in all of this. And then every year will be a progression for you. And then when you are 20 years in, you will have 20 years of experience. Good to go? Appreciate you guys. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And hey, as much as we love making these videos, we love partnering with agents and helping them build their brand and their business. So if stuff like this is for you guys, don't feel like you can't reach out. Throw us an email, throw us a phone call, throw us a text message, and see if we can't help out build your business or answer any questions that you might have. Cool? See you guys in the next video.